Alright, so I'm going to make a sourdough culture, and I use about 3/4 of a cup of regular flour. Put it in this jar, and about a tablespoon of this stone ground rye flour. It has all the wild yeast, bacteria, everything that you need to make a decent sourdough starter. Very simple. About a 1/2 cup of water in there. Mix it up. Don't have to mix it that well. Just try to get all the dry stuff damp. Alright. And then it's going to take 3 or 4 days. And you just let this stuff just set on the counter. Alright, here it is, Wednesday. We started this on Monday, and it's all bubbly looking. It's all, you can kind of pour it out of there almost, so it's gotten all sour. Has a nice sour smell. So this you can put in the refrigerator, and this will be your sourdough culture. You take a tablespoon of this to make your sourdough starter, and then when it gets low, you just put in some flour and water to keep a stiff mixture. Mix it up in there, and it'll keep going. But you need to use it about once a week anyways, and if not, feed it once a week. Throw away a bunch of it and just add flour and water so that it keeps renewing itself. So there you go. Alright, here we are using the sourdough culture to make a sourdough starter. It's 3/4 of a cup flour, bread flour, 1/3 of a cup of water, and about a tablespoon, roughly, of the culture. Then mix it up. And it's going to be kind of a stiff dough. So just mix it until it's all incorporated. You mix it a little bit out of the bowl. Should be very stiff like this. Get most of the flour worked in. Starting to get sticky now. And that's good. Put it back in there. Let it go 24 hours. Another important part of pizza is the sauce. And you should try to get some really nice Italian plum tomatoes, or you can get some cheap tomatoes. Then these were diced, but I pureed them with this baby. And now you just put some seasonings in. I use about a tablespoon of oregano, maybe a little more. Same thing with garlic powder. I like it very spicy, so you can adjust it. You can put other things in there like thyme or basil, whatever you like. Then I use about 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. You can use lemon juice, salt, pepper, a little bit of olive oil. And then just mix this up and let it sit in the fridge for a day. Let all these flavors get working, and don't cook it. You're just going to let it cook on the pizza. This is good, just like it is, right out of the can. Alright, it's been 24 hours for the starter. It's filled up the container. It's nice and bubbly. This is what you want. Now, I have 7 ounces of water here, and I'm going to mix the starter into the water. Alright, it's all mixed up pretty good now. Just you want to just get it dissolved a little bit in there. It's still going to be some chunks, but it'll blend in the flour pretty good this way. So that's pretty ready to go. Then I've got 11 ounces of flour. I always weigh the flour, but it's about 2 1/4 cups. I put 1/4 teaspoon of this Fleshman's Rapid Rise in there and 2 teaspoons of salt. Mix it up in the flour and then add your liquid. Then you can use your hands, try to get all the flour mixed in, and then sometimes it's just better to dump it out, work it a little bit to get the stuff all picked up by the moisture. So then I just kind of use my fingertips and try to do it real quick. Now it's all pretty much picked up in there, and I'm gonna put it back in the bowl, put the lid on, and let it sit for 10 or 20 minutes to let all the water hydrate the yeast and the flour. Alright, it's been about 20 minutes, and the dough is a little less sticky now. I'm gonna just dump it out and knead it a little bit, just to try to get it a little smoother. And I just flip it 180 degrees and kind of push it away from me and tuck it back over. Roll it around a little. I'm not going to knead it too much for the pizza dough. So that's about it. And it's kind of smooth on top, a little tacky, but not bad. Now, I'm going to divide it up into 3 separate balls and put it in some containers. I'll show you that in a second. Alright, I've divided them up into 3 8-ounce lumps. And I'm putting a little olive oil inside, just kind of coating the surface of these containers. Then we're going to just shape these into little balls. I'm going to try to just tuck it underneath, get it tight. There. Put it in the container. Do that for each one. Then we're going to put it in the refrigerator overnight. Then they can stay in the refrigerator for 2 or 3 days. Or you can put them in the freezer. Alright, this pizza dough has been in the refrigerator overnight. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm taking it out, and we're going to let it rise or proof. And this is the tricky part about making pizza at home, is getting this to rise the appropriate amount when you want to get ready to bake it. So it should almost double in volume, and it should have a springiness to it when you touch it, and we'll look at that later today as it warms up. Well, it's been about 7 hours and it looks like it's ready. It's if you put some oil on your finger and dimple it, and the dimple stays in there, then it's probably proofed enough. And the problem is, if you let it proof too much, then it's going to collapse when you try to make the dough and keep that crust edge. So I'm going to put it in the refrigerator now until I'm ready to make the pizza in the next couple of hours. Alright, we're about an hour away from when I want to cook the pizza. So I've taken the dough out of the refrigerator and I've turned on the oven. I have my pizza stone in there, and the oven's it's about on 1/3 of the way up in the height of the oven. And I'm going to heat the oven to 550. All right, so oven's up to temperature, it's 550 degrees, and we do it for an hour is to get that stone in there to the right temperature. So now we're going to dump this dough out onto this flour I've spread on the table, and I'm going to shape the dough. Should use a little bit more olive oil in here. Okay, now, put some flour on your fingers. And then you're going to define this edge. Just push with your fingers. And you want to define the edge that you're going to leave. The flour helps so your fingers don't stick to it. And this is the edge that you're going to have the nice crust edge. So you want to leave that puffed up and you flatten out the rest. So now you're just going to push this until it's flat all around. Keep flipping it to get more flour on it so your fingers don't stick to it. Just push it out slowly. Then you can take it like this, hold it inside of that edge so you don't flatten the edge, and let the weight of the dough stretch out the pizza. It's going to be maybe 12-inch pizza, 10-inch pizza, something like that. And just keep working it. And I'm letting the dough rest on the counter here so it doesn't tear. But if you get a little hole in it, that's okay. You can just pinch it back together and that'll be alright. So that's good. So now we're going to put it on the peel. So you need something like this, a wooden peel. And some people use flour or cornmeal on the peel so the dough will slide. But I just like to use the parchment paper because it's not as messy. Alright, so that's it. Now we're going to put a little bit of olive oil on here. It's supposed to protect the dough from getting too wet when you put the sauce on. The sauce we made a while back. It hasn't been cooked, it's just out of the can. Put the seasonings in there. Put some mozzarella on here. Alright, so I'm going to put this in. Here we go. Just going to slide it in here. Like I said, 7 to 10 minutes. We'll keep our eye on it. We're looking for the bottom to get brown, the edges to get brown, and the cheese to be bubbly. Okay, it's been 8 or 9 minutes. We're going to take a look. It's bubbly. The bottom is done. We're going to call it good. I'm going to put it on the cooling rack. Alright, we're going to let it sit on this cooling rack for just a little bit. I like to put a little bit of Parmesan on it while it's cooling. Now I've let it cool a few minutes and I'm going to cut it up and we'll take a look at it, see how we did. Looks like a really beautiful pizza, so I'm going to go ahead and eat some of it, and you go ahead and make your own.